Hello and welcome to the Horror Homestead. My name is GiBi. This is Ozzy. Toto's on vacation. We're gonna talk about a FNAF book. We're certainly gonna talk about a FNAF book. If you decided to start the series with Pizza Kit for some reason, we're gonna be analyzing, summarizing, and theorizing about one story in the ongoing Fazbear Frights anthology series. As I just said, today is Pizza Kit. Pizza Kit's one of the more infamous stories in the entire franchise. I don't know why. I do know why, but when I was writing the script, I didn't know why. Let's get into it. Peyton and Marley are girls. We get probably the worst, inciting incident into one of the books ever. So they're in high school, home ec class, and I should probably explain that, 'cause I understand not all my viewers are American. Okay, home ec is home economics. It's a class where you learn how to do things like cooking and typically balancing checkbooks and etiquette, and it's something that was very popular, I don't know, back in like the 50s or something. My school didn't have one, but it's something that exists still in the cultural mindset, because it's like, oh, that was just sexism class. That was just housewife class. And they do comment on that in the story. They're like, there's no boys in this class. The boys are all taking, like, real classes. But it's supposed to be an easy grade. So Peyton and Marley are like, we're gonna take egg boiling class. We'll get A's. I think they're in this class to allow for this exchange to happen. You're going to learn skills such as cooking and cleaning and sewing, Mrs. Crouchfield said, gesturing toward the kitchen equipment and sewing machines in the room. But you're also going to learn the almost lost art of etiquette. Might any of you young ladies be able to use the word etiquette in a sentence? I ate a kit. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kit, Peyton whispered to Marley. I'm gonna lose it, guys. We're on page 1 and I'm gonna lose it. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kits were all the rage, even among high school kids. It was a nostalgia thing, Peyton supposed. Whether it was for a birthday or for no particular reason, visiting the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kit factory to build your own pizza was comforting. And delicious. Very amusing, Mrs. Crouchfield said, and it's interesting that you mentioned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kits, because next week we are going to be joining the culinary arts class for a visit to the factory where they are made. I think Ellie Cooper put the kids into home ec class to make that pun, and then to set up that they're going to the factory. And I love puns, but writing a subplot in your story to make a pun, that's actually something I would do, absolutely. This was just very on the nose. Peyton's mom doesn't like Marley very much. She's a bad influence. She's bossy, and she's the one who made Peyton take home ec. Peyton's mom thinks that she should have taken a real class, but Peyton took it because Marley told her to. Oh, if all your friends jumped off a bridge into a vat of pizza sauce, would you do it? That kind of conversation. Marley convinces Peyton to go get ice cream even though her homework's not done, so we get to see why her mother doesn't like her in action. She's telling her to, not do her work. Marley is also attractive, and Peyton is not, according to Peyton. When she hung out with Marley, she felt like a little of Marley's glitter might rub off on her. She was like a plain little sparrow who was best friends with a flamingo. Are flamingos known for their attractiveness? Shouldn't this have been a peacock? I don't know. Later, Peyton refers to their friendship as being like a greyhound pursued by a corgi. Is a greyhound the most attractive dog? I don't know. Marley flirts with a boy named Sean at the ice cream place. This section of the story is very 9th grade, but unlike stories like Fetch or The Breaking Wheel, I don't necessarily care about these people's lives outside of the fact that they're about to be going to Freddy Fazbear's. Oh no, Marley's flirting with a boy and Peyton doesn't do that. She's not attractive, so she doesn't get flirted with boys. However, will this plot point resolve itself? I don't care. They feed the ducks and then it gets dark out and Peyton has to get home before it gets late. I've got to go, my mom's gonna kill me. Marley shook her head. You're such a little rule follower. I guarantee your mom isn't going to kill you. She's probably just going to yell at you a little. And if she yells at you, so what? Peyton knew Marley wouldn't understand. But the real answer to so what was that Peyton didn't like to disappoint her mom. She got along with her parents much better than most kids her age, and she wanted to keep it that way. This is a very introspective and mature thing for Peyton to know about herself. But so far, the plot is just that Peyton exists, and Marley's flirting with a boy, and that's it. We're 2 chapters into the story, and nothing of importance has happened except for setting up that they will be soon going to a Freddy's. There's nothing to look forward to in the plot except for the inevitable knowledge that something bad will happen. Peyton rushes home. She passes her neighbor Abigail's house. Abigail and Peyton used to be best friends, but they grew apart because Peyton started caring about adult things and became friends with the popular girls. But Abigail still wanted to play unicorns and read books. This is just to be beautiful again. Because this is a children's fantasy book, that means that Abigail is objectively morally correct because it wants to pander to its readers. Because Peyton gets home late, she gets a talking to from her mother. They have another introspective and clear and mature conversation. I guess this is the first one they've had, but Peyton has another conversation like that. Her mother says that she never had to worry about Peyton when her and Abigail were best friends. When Abigail and I were best friends, we were little kids. It wasn't that we were so responsible. It was that an adult was watching us all the time. Marley and I aren't little kids. You haven't gotten used to the fact that I'm not a baby anymore. Her mom sighed. Peyton, I'll still think of you as my baby even when you're 30 years old. I recognize that you're growing up. But part of growing up is showing responsibility. If you tell me you'll be home by a certain time, it's your responsibility to make that happen. If you want to be treated like an adult, you have to act like one. Good points, both of you. Good points. I like this discussion. Clear, open, mature, honest communication and introspection. Woohoo! The Freddy Fazbear factory field trip comes up. The boy that Marley flirted with, Sean, is part of the culinary class, and thus he's going to be on the same field trip as them. This is done for no reason. In fact, the plot is kind of a plot hole that this happens at all. The manager, Mrs. Bryant, comes out in a Chica suit minus the head to give the tour. Okay. They're given little cards and they're supposed to check off the stuff they want on their pizza kit. And then the pizzas will be delivered to them in school the next day. So it's like a little card and they go, I want anchovies and extra cheese. Peyton checked pepperoni and mushrooms, not pineapple. Pineapple on pizza was an abomination. Once again, FNAF Media gets this opinion correct. In the Pit also said this. Marley decides she wants to break some rules. She sneaks away from the tour and peer pressures Peyton to come with her. They go on a dangerous catwalk above some steaming machinery, and Peyton is scared of heights. Marley starts teasing her, and she runs and runs down the catwalk, runs back, starts jumping. She's trying to prove to Peyton how safe it is. As Marley jumped, Peyton could feel the catwalk give way a little. It made a horrible creaking sound. She grabbed onto the railing, afraid she might be sick. Marley, please stop. Marley laughed. Why should I stop just because you're scared? I'm having an awesome time, and I'm sure everything's super safe. She looked at a sign reading, Don't lean on the railings. I bet that's even safe. She leaned her back against one railing and then propelled herself forward to lean into the one on the opposite side of the walkway. The railing wasn't safe. Marley plunged forward and down, disappearing into the rising steam. Peyton screamed, but the sound was drowned out by the whirring and grinding of the machinery below. So here's the thing. This would be like the plot summary of the story. This is the point of the plot. Sometimes plot summaries give away too much. Like Gumdrop Angel, if you say, oh, that's the one where she turns into a gumdrop, that basically spoils the entire story. If you say Fetch is the one with the robot dog, that doesn't really spoil much. There's still a lot of other stuff going on. Typically, I'll read the back of the book, which you guys know because I quote them endlessly. And this one says, Marley's best friend goes missing on a tour of the Freddy's Pizza Factory. She knows what really happened. No. Marley's friend doesn't go missing. Marley goes missing. They got the name wrong. As I was reading the story for the first time, I was expecting Peyton to go missing or die or something. And I thought how interesting it was that we were meeting Peyton's mom and Peyton's neighbor who was her old best friend. And how interesting it would be for Peyton to go missing, cut to Marley's perspective, and then she has to, like, go and talk to Peyton's family and friends, and maybe the neighbor would, like, investigate or something. Like, I thought that's where the story was going, because that's what the back cover told me was gonna happen. What? Scott, that's a big typo. I can't believe that you personally messed up on the back of your own book. Peyton runs down the catwalk and tries to find Marley, but doesn't see her body. Instead, she notes that one of the giant vats of boiling tomato sauce is making weird clunking sounds. So she's likely lost in the sauce. I don't know why I said that. That's not my script. I just came up with that. It's not funny. It takes a few minutes for Peyton to reach her conclusion. So she fell for a really long time. She landed in the sauce. It's boiling hot, and she's been down there for several minutes, so she's drowned and boiled to death. She's very dead. Marley is dead. Peyton thinks about getting help, but reasons that it's no use. What if she told Mrs. Crouchfield? But the old woman said it was Peyton's fault for not talking Marley down. What if one of her classmates accused Peyton of pushing Marley in? Marley was beautiful and popular. It wouldn't be long before kids started to talk. Maybe they'd think Peyton was jealous, and there had been no one there to see it besides Peyton herself. As if a switch had flipped on, Peyton felt herself going into self-preservation mode. It was too late to save Marley, but maybe she could at least save herself. The teacher notices that Marley doesn't get back on the bus with them at the end of the field trip, and she asks Peyton, "Hey, where's your buddy?" And Peyton's like, "I don't know, she must have snuck off during the field trip. She did say it was pretty boring." And the teacher goes, "Yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds like her. I agree, I understand. I still have to call her parents and the cops, but yeah, you're probably innocent. You didn't do anything wrong, Peyton, don't worry. You shouldn't feel guilty." Now, in the real world, the factory would have security cameras, but those don't exist at Freddy Fazbear's. If there's one thing I think when I think Freddy Fazbear's, it's a lack of security cameras. Instead of, like, calling the police and not allowing them to leave until they come or something like that, they just send all the kids home. I read a book in 5th grade called On My Honor, which was about 2 boys going swimming, and one of them drowns, and the other one, like, doesn't tell anyone what happened to him. And I guess I don't remember how the book ended, but he probably told the truth. Basically the exact same premise, except for this one's about pizza. It had an insane cover. I remember that there were, like, 2 covers that different kids were given when we were reading it in class, and one of them was like, yes, this is a book where a kid watches his friend drown, and this is not. So Marley's mom wants to talk to Peyton. Peyton is keeping up the "I thought she just went home during the field trip" story. Peyton took a deep breath. Here comes the big lie, she thought. She was in line behind me when we were looking at the big containers of pizza toppings, but the next time I looked behind me, she was gone. She said she was bored, so I thought maybe she bailed. She's done it before. You're right, that wouldn't be out of character for Marley, Marley's mom said. Listen, if you remember any detail, any little thing that might help us find her, call me. I will, Peyton said. She hit end on the phone, sank into an armchair, and sobbed. Peyton reasons to herself that it's actually a good thing that she's lying to the family, because it gives them hope that maybe Marley is still alive. This is obviously wrong, but at the very least it makes Peyton a little more sympathetic, because she's coming up with a moral reason for why she's lying. She's not just saying, "This is purely for my benefit." She's saying, "This is actually the good thing to do." Okay. Peyton takes a walk outside to clear her head. She passes Abigail's house. Abigail is on the front porch reading. "Hey, Abigail." Usually Peyton just said hey and kept on walking. Today she stopped. "What are you reading?" Abigail looked a little surprised that Peyton was engaging her in conversation. "Oh, it's just a mystery. It's about this girl who goes missing. It's pretty good." A missing girl. Great, Peyton thought. "You know, I don't read as much as I used to," Peyton said. When Peyton and Abigail had been friends, they swapped books back and forth all the time. They had read together and talked about what they were reading. They had been a 2-girl book club, but when the friendship with Marley started, there was so much real-life drama and intrigue that there had been no time for books. "Maybe," Peyton said, "you could recommend some good ones to me. I miss reading." She had almost said, "I miss you," but stopped herself. It was true, though. She did miss Abigail. She had only just realized it. While the other girls Peyton knew had changed a lot when they started high school, worrying about makeup and clothes and what other people thought of them, Abigail seemed the same as she ever was. It was kind of nice. They sit down and drink lemonade and have a very nice conversation. Abigail tells Peyton what it was like being at school when the news about Marley spread. People were very upset, and there's a rumor that someone heard a scream during the tour. We, the reader, know that that was Peyton's scream, but Peyton doesn't even remember screaming. "I want you to know," Abigail said, "that even though I dislike Marley, I don't wish her ill. I genuinely hope she's okay." "You're jealous of Marley, aren't you?" Peyton asked. She realized with some embarrassment that she hadn't spent much time thinking about Abigail's feelings. "Oh, do you think?" Abigail sounded irritated. "I was your best friend and you ditched me to be best friends with her. How could I not be jealous?" Peyton couldn't meet Abigail's eyes. "I didn't really ditch you. We just grew apart." "Well then, we grew apart very suddenly, so you could be Marley's best friend instead. You really hurt my feelings, Peyton." Peyton felt a sharp pain in her heart, like a bee had stung her there. "I'm sorry." There was a long pause, and Abigail seemed to let out a breath she'd been holding this whole time. "It's okay. I forgive you." Do you guys like my Abigail voice? Again, very nice mature conversations with open feelings and good introspection about the reason why they feel what they feel, and clear communication about what they should do moving forward in their friendship. If the story wasn't incredibly boring, I would be giving it mad props. Peyton has a dumb dream. Okay, I'm gonna rant about dreams for a second. These books need to fill pages to reach a minimum page limit, I'm sure, probably between 60 and 80 pages given their length. So I understand having a dream segment. But if you're gonna have a dream in a book, there's a very, very tight line you have to walk. If it's meaningless, it's a waste of pages. If it's symbolic about what's going on in the story, that's fine. But there's typically two pitfalls that dreams fall into in books. One is the thing they're symbolic of is so obvious to the reader already that you're just wasting pages. Her dream is that Freddy Fazbear has a big pot of boiling tomato sauce, and he's like, oh, stir my sauce, taste it, ooh, I need some more ingredients, reaches into a bag, takes out Marley's head, puts it in the sauce. Now it's good, okay. Like, we get it. We know what it's a guilt dream. We get it. The other pitfall that a dream might fall into is that it's too symbolic for the reader to possibly understand what it means, which means at some point later in the story, a character's going to have to explain what it means. At that point, why do we need the dream if it's just going to be explained to us? Dream scenes suck. I always feel like skipping them when I'm reading books. I don't like them. Don't use one unless you have a really good reason to. One of the other issues is that sometimes dreams don't pay off at all, and the author could just be like, well, yeah, in real life dreams don't pay off. It was just the character being stressed. And it's like, okay, well then, like, I was sitting there trying to read into the symbolism because I assumed it would pay off at some point, and you saying, well, no, it's just sometimes things happen, dreams are weird. Makes me not want to bother looking into the symbolism, because you just told me that you'll just throw things into the book that don't matter. Dreams, bad. All my homies hate dreams. Peyton has to talk to the cops and tell them for the third time that she thinks Marley snuck off during the field trip. It'll be okay, her mom said, giving her a little squeeze. I just have a feeling you're going to be seeing your friend again real soon. What an ominous way to end a chapter. I'm calling these line breaks chapters now. If I were a betting man, I'd say that Peyton will see Marley again, but in an unexpected way that her mother could not possibly have intended when she said that. Also, while I get the instinct to reassure your child, I don't think that's really a good thing to tell them, because there's a good chance that Marley will not be coming back. And so to say, oh, don't worry, everything will turn out fine, when you know it probably won't, is just not good. Not good parents. The next section kicked me in the gut, and I felt like I was reading The Breaking Wheel again. So Peyton gets to school the next day, goes to home ec class, and the teacher holds up all of their pizza kits and says, oh, your pizza kits arrived. Today's lesson's gonna be baking and eating the pizzas. And I was like, oh my god. She fell in the vat of tomato sauce. They're all going to be eating her. Oh my god! She looked down at the box's contents. Something about it didn't feel right. Red liquid pooled at the bottom of the box. The crust was not the usual pale color of dough, but closer to the color of a bandage's approximation of Caucasian skin. With one trembling finger, she reached out and touched one of the pepperoni slices. It was soft and smooth. That wasn't how pepperoni usually felt, was it? Okay, so like what I'm hoping for is that this is like actually her body and not karmic ghost apparitions. Unfortunately, you'll see where the story goes. When the bell over the oven timer rang, Peyton jumped like a bomb had exploded. There was no avoiding it. It was pizza time. I can't take this seriously. They're going to eat Marley, and all I can think of is Spider-Man. Peyton picked up her pizza and carried it to her table. She sat down and stared at it. The sauce was blood red. She poked the dough with her finger. It was soft and somehow fleshy. The pepperoni reminded her of a tongue. The girls at the other tables were gobbling their pizza slices, laughing and having a great time. Peyton stared down at the unappetizing pizza. The pizza was evidence of how she had abandoned Marley, abandoned her and then lied about it. Peyton had no choice. She had to destroy the evidence. She had to eat it. Never mind, I can't take this seriously at all. Why? Why are we doing this? Peyton, but also Scott Cawthon. I think that if she ate a normal pizza, and then afterwards was like, wait a minute, did I just eat Marley? That would be a good horror scene. Maybe she, like, pulls a hair out of her mouth, and it's a blonde hair? Ooh. But no, we just getting her deciding that she has to eat the evidence of her friend. She thinks it has her actual blood in it, but she's still gonna eat it anyway. She eats the corpse pizza for an entire page. It's disgusting. I'm just gonna skip over it. Yeah, I understand that disgust is an element of horror, but it's just gross. Peyton was forcing down the last bite of pizza when the bell rang to change classes. She felt ill and bloated, as if the dough were expanding in her stomach, as if it might keep on expanding and expanding until she burst like a blood-filled tick. Yum! Pizza. Huh. Peyton goes home and she feels sick, and her mom is like, well, I've got some good food on the stove. I'm making pot roast. Her mom's pot roast usually was her favorite, but now the thought of it sickened her. The stringy meat, stewed in its own fat and juices. Even the carrots and onions and potatoes were saturated in the juices of dead cow. First came death, then the butchering, then the cooking and eating of the flesh. Peyton feared that the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kit had been her last experience eating the meat of another creature. From now on, assuming she could ever bring herself to eat anything again, she would be a vegetarian. Peyton remembered a vegetarian kid in middle school who used to wear a t-shirt with pictures of animals on it that said, "Don't eat your friends." After today, those words had taken on a new meaning. I think one of the authors, whoever wrote Step Closer, who was Kelly Para, I think? Yes. Yeah, Kelly Para, so not Ellie Cooper. Kelly Para was a vegetarian and kind of worked some of that into the story. I don't know why Ellie Cooper is doing this. Like, that's just gross. I get that it's a realistic reaction for Peyton to have, but unless it's part of the moral of the story, which it's not, it just seems kind of gratuitous. We then read for multiple pages about tapeworms. Peyton's trying to make herself throw up. She feels something moving in her stomach, and it's just really gross. Like, I feel grossed out, which is the intention of the story, so I can't say it's written poorly, but it's a bad thing to have chosen to write. I actually considered at this point not finishing the story and just skimming it or going to the ending, because it's just bad. It's just really, really bad. I'm not going to read the section to you guys. The point is that she thinks that she is a tapeworm, so she's trying to... I can't, like, no. You know, I'm just not going to talk about it at all, actually. Long story short, she's examining the inside of her mouth, and she sees fingers crawling up her throat with Marley's fingernail polish, and attached at the end of the fingers is a hand. She tries to shove the hand back down her throat, but it keeps trying to force itself back out. Now she's choking and can't breathe, and then the hand with the full arm reaches out of her mouth, but then it pushes itself back in. But was Marley still alive? It had been her hand, and it was moving. But she couldn't be alive and inside Peyton, could she? No. She looked back at the mirror. Now there were lumps on her face, too. Large ones, moving around, distorting her features, straining the taut skin until it threatened to split. Her eyes bulged. Something was pushing hard behind them. She had never felt such intense pressure. Her eyes protruded out from her eyelids, opening so wide that she could see the orbs in their entirety, the whites, the dilated pupils, the bursting blood vessels. Pulpy red slop seeped, then spewed from her eye sockets so forcefully that her eyeballs were propelled from her face like cannonballs blasting from a cannon. One hit the mirror with a wet slap, while the other one landed with a splat in the basin of the sink. Pressed together into a soft, solid mass, the bits of flesh and tissue squeezed from Peyton's empty eye sockets like fresh sausage being extruded from a meat grinder. The slop fell to the floor in long tubes. She could see nothing, but she could feel the pressure in her head building even more as it became fuller and fuller, until she feared it might explode. The meaty remains of Peyton's best friend poured from her mouth and sprayed out of her nostrils in a sneeze that splattered the red compressed innards onto the white bathroom tiles. Still, the pressure in her head grew, throbbing like a huge hammer that pounded her skull from the inside. This is awesome and gruesome and a dream. I'm so mad. The first time we had a dream sequence, the entire thing was in italics, to tell us it was a dream. This is not. This is it's lying. They're cheating. Peyton had never vomited so violently or for so long. Clutching the stair railing to hold herself up, she spewed and spewed until she feared she would soon be vomiting up her own internal organs. Surely, she thought, there could be nothing left inside her, but then another wave would hit her, and there would be more. Finally, there came several minutes of dry heaving. At last, she was empty. Thanks, Ellie. Great story. That was her throwing up on the front porch. So she goes back inside, and she goes to bed, but then she hears a rustling sound from the bushes outside, and she's like, oh no, is the pizza reconstituting itself as Marley, and now it's gonna come get me or something? Another even more horrific thought spread like a stain in Peyton's head. What if Marley had fallen into the vat of boiling sauce and died, but had somehow managed to come back, like in the dream she had just had? If it even had been a dream. What if what was outside was not really Marley, but somehow what was left of Marley? The doorbell rang. Okay, that got me. That was good. Because I don't know where the story's going at this point. Like, it could be the cops having figured out her lie, which would be bad for her. Although I doubt they'd come at like midnight and knock on her family door. Maybe it's Marley's ghost. Maybe the vomit did Fazgoo itself back into Marley. Maybe it's Abigail, who just maybe saw her throwing up on the porch and is coming to check on her and see if she's okay. I like that. That's a good, scary moment. The story's not bad. The tapeworm just made it unreadable. Then we get the worst ending in the series. Peyton decides that she wants to hide from Marley's ghost or whatever. Christmas Carol? No, probably not. Peyton decides that she wants to hide from Marley's ghost, so she climbs out her window and onto the roof. Page break. New chapter. New perspective. Marley stood on the porch, waiting for the door to open. Being missing had been kind of fun. No school, no responsibilities, but hiding out in the pizza factory had started to get old. She missed her boyfriend, missed regular meals, and missed sleeping in her own bed. She had gone to see her boyfriend first, and now she was going to let Peyton know she was okay. Those visits were her first 2 phases of becoming unmissing. Then she would go back home for the required tearful reunion with her parents. Thunk. The sound came from the other side of the house. Marley ran down the porch steps to investigate. It was dark around the back of the house, so it took Marley a moment to make sense of the shape lying on the ground. But then she saw it was a girl about her size. Her neck was twisted, and her head was tilted at a painful-looking angle. Peyton's eyes, wide open in a frozen look of terror, seemed to be looking right at Marley. But Marley knew Peyton wasn't looking at her. She would never look at anything again. Marley screamed. Analysis. This is the worst ending in the series. Excuse me? She fell in the factory, was fine. In the minute it took Peyton to come and look for her, she hid for some reason. Then she hid in the factory, which she thought was boring. She thought the factory was boring, and the pizza was disgusting. She hid in there for a few days. For fun. It says that she wanted to see her boyfriend. Sean's not her boyfriend. Sean's a boy that she was, like, flirting with. Who also was on the field trip, which doesn't come up again. Why make him go on the trip if it's gonna, like, contradict several parts of the narrative? Sean should have noticed that she was missing. If I'm on a field trip with my crush, and she goes missing halfway through, I'm gonna notice. And then if her boyfriend was, like, there, what are you doing? What's happening here, Scott? None of the pizza stuff being real and it all being a manifestation of Peyton's guilt is fine. I don't mind it. But Abigail served no function to the story. And the first dream where Freddy's putting Marley's head into the pizza sauce, which is stupid, could be cut and save time. Also, the second dream not being italicized, cheating. It's totally cheating. I have literally nothing to say about the story except for dream sequences in books are almost always bad, grossing out the audience is bad, the story is bad, the back cover is bad. If you have any interest in reading the story, I suggested that instead you read On My Honor. It's probably better. There's no tapeworms in that. I don't remember. The gross out mixed with the worst ending ever might genuinely make this F tier. This is just as bad as people said it would be. Oh my god. Next up is a Stitch Wraith Stinger, which I'm excited for because I want something good. Thank you for watching. Be sure to be nice to each other in the comments. Consider supporting the creators you admire. Never lose sight of the things that are important to you. Remember to be Freddy. Freddy stands for Friendly, Respectful Engagement, Discussion, Discourse Yields Success. I would like to thank my patrons. Brandon, Lauren V, Morgan, Nan, Scott, Sophie, Suka, and Wooly, as well as Billy, Chamikon, Klaus, Copacker Fan, Eliza, Halmar, Johnny the Night Guard, Kira, Lauren R, Rose, Sebhar, Thamagata, World's Greatest Bard, Your Boy Peachy, Zany Face, and Zimmy, as well as Emily, Gremlin, HHD, Jinx, Jose, Mustard Shirt Guy, Rolo, and Riley, as well as Ellie, Jojo, Jeannie, Mariuna, and Ray. I would also like to thank my YouTube members, my Night Guards, those who made it to Night 1, Nolan, Arcadeus, Toolshed Inc., Liz, Violet Poppy, Haley, Sophie, Poppy, Theory Chum, Riley, JT Kelly 18, Golden Productions, Louie, and Jackie. Those who made it to Night 2, Mrs. Trap and Ya Boy Peachy. Those who made it to Night 3, The Moving Marker, I Blue Rendition LW, and Just Because. Those who made it to night 4, Zemuit, Victoria, King, Aldo, CE, Lydia, Riley, Dare Stare, Supergo, Krypriva, Scott, Morse, Hiboi, Alex, CWF, KK, Dan B, Jemmy Shershi, Mike, Hyrule YT, Remington, Unk, YouTube Guy, Hather the Cow, Bob, Maggie, Blood Lovin' Girl, Mr. Simps, Casual Soup, Ace Cole 99, Mad Dog, Cammy Bammy, Eric, Maury, Rainbow Data, Ming Amazing, Cryonide, Isaac, Rose, Slat Fried, Tim, Mamakato, Celtic 1020, EB Theory Blue, The Unwithered Sigma, Brayden, PS1 Hagrid, Q, Devilad666, Hello Kevin, and Iceman. And those who made it to night 5, Momo Peaches and Suka.